Hey, Justin Rhodes here. Thank you for tuning in to my last two videos. If you haven't seen those, you're going to want to check those out. The first one is the 3 major reasons for keeping chickens, or what chickens can do for you. And the second one was about how to get started with chickens. I make it so easy, you could get started in just one weekend. Now, go ahead and check those out and then come back. But I want to say chickens are the gateway to sustainability. They're just a great entry. They're good workers all around in the garden. They're just so easy. They're just such an amazing starting place. Now, the problem is Grandma and Grandpa aren't around anymore. Now, why do I say Grandma and Grandpa? Because Grandma and Grandpa knew how to do all this stuff. And here we are all wanting to do it, but they're gone. But that's where I come in. I will teach you how to do this stuff. I'm not old enough to be your Grandma and Grandpa, but how about I'll be your uncle. I'll teach you how to do this. I'll tell you how to get more of me in just a minute, but I want to give you 2 more invaluable lessons on bootstrap chicken care. Okay, let's start with housing. By far, that is the most popular subject on my blog, abundantpermaculture.com. I have designed 2 different mobile chicken houses that are good for the birds, they're good for you, they put the chickens to work. No matter what your situation, it's likely that you're going to be able to use one of these 2 things. So let's start first with the chicken tractor. The chicken tractor is basically the one I designed. It's about 40 inches wide, 8 feet long, 2 feet tall. It's not very big. It's good for maybe if you have 12 chickens or less. It's good for moving around in your yard to fertilize and mow the grass, or it's good for putting where you want a garden bed area. I designed it purposefully to where you could put it where you want a garden area, have your chickens get in there, till, fertilize, move your chickens out, plant your crop, let the crop grow up, and then bring back your chickens, and they're going to get what you didn't get. Okay, and then you can start all over again. You can easily build that chicken tractor if you're willing to do some things yourself, $200 or less. Easy. Now, the second chicken housing that I'm going to talk about is taking the chicken world by storm. The first time I published this chickshaw is what I call it. Okay, it takes off the idea of the rickshaw. Okay, it's that same science. It just works absolutely amazing. When I first published it, over 1,000 people downloaded the plans for that in the first week. So what's so good about it is it's finally, there's a mobile chicken coop that one person can move a lot of birds. I'm talking about 36 birds, and I'm talking about moving long distances and over crazy terrain. Before, we've had these coops that we have to move with lawnmowers or 4 people or whatever. Gone are those days. And the good news today is I'm going to give you the plans for both of those. Chicken shaw, the chicken tractor, absolutely free. They're down below in the download. Go ahead and get them. The second thing I want to talk to you about is food expense. By far, that is the biggest reoccurring food expense you're going to have in chickens, especially if you're buying organic and non-GMO. But it doesn't have to be that way. In fact, I've cut my bill 100%, and I've taught hundreds and hundreds of people to do the same. Just a real quick example. I've learned and developed a system where the chickens can eat 100% on compost. Now, I'm not the first to do that. Carl Hammer does that. Jeff Lawton does that. But I've developed where you could do it in a chicken run. And guess what? Not only will your chickens eat that compost, the biota life that's in that, and any food scraps you put on there, they'll turn it for you. They'll add nitrogen to that compost. And every week, the system puts out a cubic meter, whatever you want to say, of compost a week. Here, that's worth $80. So get that. Not only did I cut my feed bill 100%, I produced $80 of compost every week. So for this, there are 20 different creative ways I've identified for feed, and I talk about that in my movie, Permaculture Chickens. I'll talk more about that in my next video. But for the sake of time, let's talk about 5 creative feeds that you could probably implement right now. They're so easy. Number 1 is rationing rationing your feed. You're probably giving your chickens all the food they want. Well, guess what? They are pigs with feathers. They will eat all that. And the problem is they will eat more than they need. They'll get fat. And remember, fatty don't play, man. She'll get so fat, her production will actually go down. So get that, she's taking more than she's giving. That's ridiculous. That's not gonna work on my homestead. So ration feed. Here's how you do that, especially if they're laying eggs. Go ahead and cut. You don't need to give them any more than 1/3 pound of feed, period. No matter what time of year, 1/3 pound each for each bird, okay? So begin to ration your feed. Count and keep track of how many eggs they're giving you. Then cut back their feed by 10%. Cut 10% off that 1/3 pound. And keep doing that every week until it taps into egg production. Once it taps into egg production, you've gone too far and you need to bounce back. Another way to test to see if your chickens are getting enough feed is go to their coop at night and feel right below their neck. It's called a crop. It should be at least golf ball size, if not softball size, full of food. They want to go to bed with plenty of food in there to get them through the night, okay? So those are some ways to test that they're getting enough. So ration your feed. Now, another easy thing to do is soak your feed. Put in a day's worth of feed in a bucket or a bowl, depending on how much a day's worth of feed for you is, and then fill it up with water. Just cover it with 4 inches. And then that next day, that has been soaked. That water has broken down the enteronutrients in that and makes it so much easier to digest. In fact, 15% more easier to digest. So that already is going to take your feed so much further. I mean, that is so easy. That's something you could do today. And you continue that cycle. You just feed them the food. And by the way, I feed it in feed pans so that if there's any water left, which there probably will be, there's nutrients in that. And you don't want to lose it. So just feed it into a feed pan. And then when you're done feeding them for the day, just go fill it back up with a day's worth of feed and just leave it for a day, okay? The third thing you can do is feed them grass. 20% of their diet can be on grass. You can cut and haul that grass to them, or you can let them out free ranging a couple hours in the afternoon, or free range them 100%. 20% of their diet can be on grass. Then feed them the kitchen scrap. I guarantee you 16% of your waste, your household waste, is in food. Feed them everything. I'm talking everything. I mean, I haven't found much that they won't eat, and if they don't eat it, if you take the advice I give you, the stuff they don't eat is going to go into your garden area or into your compost, into your yard, and it's going to just be organic matter anyway. They're smart. I know their brain's not that big, but they're smart enough to know what they can and cannot eat. Now, another thing, you might call this a problem, but I'm going to do something that permaculture has taught me. And one of the principles of permaculture is turn a problem into a solution. So let's take weeds for an example. I don't even know if there's such things as weeds, because here's why. Because let's just take the dandelion and the lamb's quarter. People might consider those weeds, but guess what? You can eat every single bit of that, and so can your chickens. The plant, the stem, the roots, every bit of it. Harvest it and feed it to your chickens. Turn a problem into a solution. Now, grandma's gone, but my students say the next best thing is film. So I've been working my tail off for the last year producing an extremely high quality film on how to raise chickens naturally from hatching to the plate. In fact, I kick-started this 9 months before the film was even coming out, and guess what? It raised $35,000, $1,100, 140% funded. The people have spoken. They want this. Now imagine well, first, the backers have gotten this film. So they're already beginning to implement, they're raving, they're saying this is so good. They're already beginning to implement what they've learned. And imagine if you could experience some of the joy that they're experiencing right now. Your first chick, holding that little baby in your hand, letting your children hold that. The joy, the hope that that brings is absolutely incredible. What about your first egg? I talked about that some in your last video. I'm telling you, when you get that first tiny egg, you're gonna have scrambled eggs for dinner. You're not gonna care. You're gonna be so excited. And then, this gives me chill bumps even now talking about it, and I talk about this all the time. When you graduate that first chicken to your plate, and maybe you've set out some vegetables that you've grown, and you sit down with a family and friends and you're all having a good time, that is unexplainable joy. That is unexplainable security, food security. food heaven, if you will. What if you got rid of your rototiller, your fertilizers, you didn't get any more bags of compost, and you let your chickens do all the work for you, like I do? It's so amazing. Now, whatever level you're at, whether you're a beginner and you know absolutely nothing, I will walk you through every step of the way. And maybe your experience, well, guess what? We all still have things we can learn, and I guarantee you, I will teach you loads of stuff. Now, please take a moment, give me your comments, questions down below. I will read them, I will answer them, and stay tuned for my next video. I'm going to talk about my own tragedy and triumph story. It's a great story, and I'm going to talk to you about how to get more of me through my new film, Permaculture Chickens. Till then.